You and Charlie Kirk had an interesting encounter in Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. I wasn't seeing the love there when you guys were accosted by the Antifa gang. What happened?
I guess we were guilty of trying to eat some pancakes and waffles. There were about 4 people that were sitting at a table diagonal from us, and they immediately recognized Charlie and myself, and apparently sent out a bat signal. We thought that they could potentially get through the meal without any disturbances, and that was false. We looked up from our meal, and there were about 25 people outside at the window throwing things at us, and then they stormed the restaurant and started screaming that we were fascists, that we were white supremacists, and that we needed to leave.
Well, but let me get this right. You know, I'm observant enough to recognize that you're an African-American woman, and somehow you are a white supremacist? I'm not figuring that one out, Candace. You'll have to explain it to me.
I'm not figuring out exactly either. I think the definition of white supremacy has shifted. It just means anybody that disagrees with the left, anybody that dares to venture away from Democrat ideologies.
And I find it interesting, too, that the Antifa movement is about being anti-fascist, but the methods that they employ are as classic textbook fascism as anything I've seen, probably since the fascist movement of the 30s. Do they not understand that?
I mean, do they look like they've opened a textbook recently? I definitely don't think they have.
Touché. What do you see, though, as the threat to our country? And I know we're having some fun here tonight, but it's not fun when I think about there's a whole generation of younger people who are convinced that they're right, but they never have a conversation with anyone that they disagree with. They just scream and yell. And in the case of you and Charlie, they actually threw water on Charlie.
That's correct. I think the biggest threat to our country right now is the censorship of ideas. We're seeing that on college campuses where it's predominantly liberal, and when a conservative speaker is welcome to the campus, as Charlie and I are, we are shut down immediately. We are protested. We have Antifa protesters. We have Black Lives Matter protesters simply because they do not want to hear different ideas. They are against capitalism. They are against free markets. And as you mentioned in the opening of the show, they're for socialism.
I'm curious about your own worldview. Where did it come from? At what point did you say, here's what I believe about the world, how it works, and I'm going to be an articulate spokesperson for it?
Like most people, I went through the public school system, which means that I emerged as a person who thought that Republicans were racist and that Democrats were the saviors at every point in history. I thought that I had to be a liberal because I'm African American. And when I actually think about the origins of these ideas in terms of my life, everything that ever went right was presented to me by my grandfather, and everything that he values God above anything else, his wife, family togetherness. We read the Bible every morning before we ate breakfast. It's conservative. Today, that's a conservative position. So the highlights of my life are conservative. Eventually, I just wanted to start taking personal responsibility for my life, and I emerged as a conservative, and I wanted to be the loudest voice for the Black community and understanding that these ideas are going to help us.
Well, you've been an amazing voice for reason and responsibility. Do you find that there are people on the left who will sit down and talk to you and engage in a thoughtful, adult-level conversation? Do you have those?
Yes, I would say that there are many students who stand up when we go on their college campuses. We always say, if you disagree with us, come to the front of the line and ask us a question, and they always do. Then the moment that they realize they cannot defend their ideas, the moment that they realize that their ideas are simply emotions, they get very upset very quickly, and they storm away and they start shouting. So challenging them is what makes them upset. Popping their utopian bubble is what makes them upset.
The organization that you are a part of, Charlie Kirk, who was with us on the show a few months back, Turning Point USA, major goal for what you hope to achieve and what you do day in and day out.
We just try to get conservative ideas in the school systems, on campuses, in high schools. It really should start even beneath that. These kids are being indoctrinated in preschool and elementary school. They're learning that there are 87 genders, but we do what we can do, and we are the troops on the ground fighting for conservative beliefs and making people understand what makes America great, making them understand that America is the greatest country in the world, despite what the professors might want them to think.
in the few seconds we have, just a simple answer. Are you optimistic or pessimistic about the future of America?
I'm incredibly optimistic about the future of America because I'm out here fighting and I have no intentions of giving up.
You know, I love hearing that. I love hearing you, and it's such a delight to have you. Thank you, Candace, for being with us. Candace Owens.
Thank you so much.
Our thanks to Candace Owens for being forthright and fearless. I hope you'll subscribe to her YouTube channel. What you heard tonight, you can hear regularly as she makes some amazing commentary. See her no-holds-barred videos on her YouTube channel. Follow her also on Facebook and on Twitter at Real Candace O.